Well, I was going to give him pushback on his objective moral claim that it requires a God, because even if the God exists, his morality is going to be ethical subjectivism. It's going to be because he says it's so, which is a subjective evaluation. There's nothing objective about coming from my mind that says this is what is immoral. So if God says don't lie, let's say that is the law, don't lie, period. God says this, right? There's nothing objective to be had there. First, it presupposes that an objective moral fact has to have somebody to give that moral fact, which I don't think is the case. But second, why did he make that the moral fact? Why did God say lying is bad? Right? And this, again, I was going to tell you I was going to get to the youthful dilemma.
You want to go to Euthyphro? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to go youthful. I was going to do it. Yeah, I know. But but I want the audience to recognize that if God says don't lie, there's pretty much two reasons why possible. There is God commanded it because it's good, and he thinks it's good not to lie, right? Or it's because he commands it, that is good. And it's not so much the commandment. Basically, in divine command theory, as I understand it, it's not necessarily God saying that is good to makes it good. It's your adherence to the God commandment, right? So if you obey the commandment that don't lie, you are doing something that is morally permissible. And as soon as you transgress and you disobey and you lie, now you've done a forbidden act, right? You've done something that is morally impermissible. But now the transgression is against God, and the whole point of having morality is interact with people. If I steal from you, I've harmed you. Right? But if I lie, how have I transgressed God? Why did he make that law?
Yeah, but this is where, the idea of, God, the moral commands that God gives flows out of his very nature. So
I don't know what that means, though.
Those are, inseparable in a sense. And again, it goes back to this concept of the image of God, that when you sin against another person, you are in effect sinning against God, right? And so because we're image bearers as human beings, the way you treat another person is the way you're treating God.
I'm fine with that, but I still don't understand what makes it the reason. I mean, God, okay, if God says do not lie, now I asked the theist, why did God say don't lie? What makes that bad by lying? Why did God command that?
Because it's endemic in his nature.
But that's not explanatory. That doesn't tell me anything. That just, okay. Why did I cross the street? Because, it was my nature to cross the street. I mean, it doesn't explain what the reasoning is why I crossed the street. Well, I was trying to go to Jack in the Box. I wanted some grub. There's a reason for why God had these moral facts, or he just arbitrarily created them.
It's the sufficient reason.
Which I deny, by the way. I do deny principle of sufficient reason, but that's okay.
Yeah, it is a reflection of his very righteousness and goodness. His very nature is reflected in the morality that we.
But that to me doesn't make sense.
If God said
it was morally permissible, that he thinks it's morally good to eat shellfish, that is morally good to lie. Let's say, because we assume there's an assumption, a presupposition here that God is wholly good, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but there's a difference between a ceremonial law and between a moral law, right?
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, we need to make a distinction between what are moral laws, what are theocratic laws, what are laws of diet.
Okay, that's fine too, but I don't think it matters about what the law actually is. If God commands something, whatever he is, and I know you don't subscribe to divine command theory, but if God said it was moral to lie, it would be the case to a divine command theorist, right? Because divine command theorist only is about obeying the rule itself. It's a deontological theory, correct? You have a duty to say, to yourself, I cannot lie because it transgresses the commandment given to me. That is what makes it a moral act to not lie, and a moral impermissible act, a moral act to lie under that guise of.
And I would go back to the point that Kenny made earlier, which I think is a really good point, and that is that in a sense the commands that God has given us, again, flow out of his very nature. And there's a logic that is, endemic in it because of the image of God concept, but that the consequences of obeying those laws are the consequences that are going to lead to the greatest good for those people involved.